Good morning, everyone. And so, on arrival in beautiful Beirut in 2013, the first thing I wrote was establishing creative identity. What don't we want? So the inception of a fashion program really was about being very different and finding a new way forward. I like to do things in the opposite way, opposite to the norm, and to think of things outside of the box. And the eagle-eyed will have noticed actually that I've written on my hand what I'm going to say next as I keep fluffing. So the kind of things we don't want, I can never remember because I blocked them out. Words like fierce, edgy, futuristic are all words that journalists use to promote and sell the idea of fashion being in a magazine, or bloggers, or people without a very in-depth understanding of the fashion process. They're all words used by people to somehow describe an organization. But from a design perspective, it actually means very little. And so what I really wanted was the opposite of that. And I wanted words like culture, identity, heritage, what it means to be Lebanese, what it means to be Lebanese on a global platform and moving forward and promoting this wonderful and crazy and diverse country in a new and exciting way. Cookie-cutter fashion designers were absolutely not required on the program. People who are unable to generate ideas and ways of thinking, so I wish them well, but I can't help you. And also talented students were not really required because talent is an organization of processes like learning to drive. And in which case talent is actually made of being able to research and also to work hard and have ideas. Talent is something your grandmother describes you as having, or she is so talented. It's not something I use, because what it does is it alienates a number of the group who are not talented. And I want to make it clear then that I very much admire Elie Saab, Uncle Elie. I really admire him. I admire he and his contemporaries for being able to sell in a global platform around the world and to dress royalty and movie stars and pop stars and people like you and carry on moving through the fluid situation. However, an academic program allows people to become who they are, not who we think they should be. And it's a very different process from the idea of selling and people looking beautiful and everything that we're selling to the public and the way that we work. So, day one of the fashion program, and you're all joining the program, and we're going to be learning about people, because when last I checked, fashion is all about people. It's not about beautiful women gliding down the catwalk. It's about real people and who we're selling to. So we're going to play a little quick game here, and this is all about understanding market level and who we're designing for. So all you have to do is raise your hand if you agree with the statement. This person drinks beer. Raise your hand if you think this person drinks beer. It's so blinding I can't see any hands. Okay, raise your hand if you think this person drinks champagne. There's always somebody very controversial there, and a bit like my mother, who would tell a long story. Well, perhaps, for somebody's 50th birthday, a great aunt's sister's cat, they would drink champagne. And raise your hand if you think that this person listens to rock music. And raise your hand if you think that this person listens to classical music. And hand up if this person wears designer clothes. Oh, really? Right, okay. And hands up if you think this person wears streetwear, high street, second-hand, $10 t-shirts. Thank you very much. And raise your hand if you think this person is a man. Yeah, because actually this person is a woman who has become very addicted to steroids. And behind the actual story is a very complex narrative. And it goes to show that we can't judge a book by its cover. So the second week of the program, students have brought in vintage photos, and this is Jana, and Jana brought in a photo of her grandmother, and she told me her grandmother had the gaze. Her grandmother is looking out on the world. Her grandmother left the village against the wishes of the family, and she fought for her education. She left, she became a teacher, then she became a head teacher. Then, after that, she wrote political articles and commentary and sent them off to newspapers under a pseudonym. And here we are 50 years later, and Jana, as a designer, now has the vision and the power to be able to design for women and offer them something other than chiffon and lace, and the idea that we are looking at her, but we're not interested in her. Jana has that power to subtly change the dynamic of fashion, and as we change that, all of those who are doing political science and want to change something, come and do fashion. Because we are changing, shui shui, the codes of what people are dressing and how they're thinking, and it takes time and many people to do this. And the design process is all about energy. I'm not interested in seeing students doing Barbie doll and dressing her, because that is a finished process. I want to see students who are exploring a line, who are pushing boundaries, who are discovering the meaning of what fashion means for them, even though it may be horribly wrong to all of you. Yeah, and I have no idea either what this means. Okay, my job is not to somehow sort out that organizational process. My job is to encourage young designers to find their own language and to discover if their work is all about pattern cutting or textiles or construction, whether it's all about the meaning, the story, the narrative, and how they are going to bring it together. So I'm here in a room, and all of you can speak 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. And yet I speak 2 languages. I speak English, and I speak the language of design. So I have the confidence to look at this and say, yeah, I've got no idea, let's go for it. In the following term, student Tracy then has taken the process forward, and she is now a really incredible menswear, unisex, streetwear designer. And again, quite difficult to understand, but I know that she is in the studios night and day working to prepare and make her own language. So 2 more coming up from 2 very short video productions that also a second-term student made. And the idea then of menswear, because when last I checked, we made up 50% of the global population. And this is a very short 2-minute movie. The model went to the mountains with the student, Sarasai, and he gave up his time because he believed in the project. And the coat is beautifully cut, although you can't tell that, but it's been made from an old military tent. It's part of the narrative and language the student is developing. If this was made properly and it was seen on a website like Mr. Porter, it would look very commercial. So the gentleman, the model, as I've said, gave up his time to go to the mountains, and very sadly I learnt this week he had died, and left behind is a wonderful 2-minute legacy of the regeneration of an entirely new way of thinking. representations of women in society within magazines tend to be she is edgy, she is fierce, she is sporty, she is beautiful in a bombed-out building. But actually, the same student has done another 2-minute movie about underlying kind of tensions and issues that come out in her work. And so there is no eyeliner. There is eyeliner, but there isn't eyeliner as we would expect. And there is no representation of the classic beauty ideal. And so thinking about and deconstructing images, I think it's important to kind of show how I think and my background. So I was invited to the Royal College of Art. I didn't apply. I was awarded the Diana Princess of Wales Bursary for allegedly the very talented, although I didn't have talent, I just worked hard and had ideas. But none of it meant anything for me but my background. And so here's an image of my father in uniform, I think looking particularly handsome. Thank you. And as his life progressed, it didn't work out in the way that he expected it to. And on retiring from the army, life went out of control and he started drinking. The drinking then turned into alcoholism and his life spiraled out of control to the point where he was found dead 3 days after he died. Varicose veins in his throat had burst and the blood had gone everywhere. I spent my birthday, Easter Sunday, 1993, scrubbing blood off the walls, and I thought at the end that that was the end of it and I could let the whole thing go. But life has a way of giving us extra lessons, and the pain continued in many different ways for many different years until I reached the point where I was able to forgive him. And in doing so, I forgave myself as well. Because forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. It sets us free. It doesn't set the other person free necessarily, but it allows us to go on. Sorry, this is really difficult for me. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves, and it allows then for an entirely new dialogue to happen. And when I'm working with young people, I'm not just working with them on a creative level, but also to allow them to free up the things that are happening for them, because we cannot be creative and exploring who we are and also fit into society, because we are the people on the outside and we want people to come to us, not that we want to go to them. And in conclusion, I'd like to just tell you a very brief story, one that makes me very happy. So I'd like you to imagine it's 11 p.m. I've been in the studios with the students for about 4 weeks running. They want to do well. I'm very sad, I don't have much of a life, so I'm there with them. And everybody looks terrible. Everybody is absolutely exhausted. Everybody looks like the photo that I showed. No makeup, no hair, no nails, no executive lunches. Everybody is wearing oversized, scruffy, dirty things and their slippers. And I'm so hungry, I shouldn't admit this, there's nothing to eat. I don't know how to get a takeaway at 11. And so there's that manouchi that's wrapped up and in my bin. And I'm sort of pulling it out, thinking I have to eat something. It's all wrapped up. And suddenly, from nowhere, I hear the most incredible sound of everybody bursting into song whilst they're making in the construction studio. The place and the roof is lifted. And then from there, everybody bursts into laughter. And you know what? They are my family. Thank you very much.